Hello, my friends. My name is Darren Gerdes. It is October 1st, 2024, day 951 of this awful war in Ukraine. This is a daily brief. So there are 1,370 Russians off the battlefield. This is a high number, and it's high even for recent weeks. 9 tanks off the battlefield, 44 armored fighting vehicles, 33 artillery systems, 73 vehicles, and fuel tanks. I go over these same groups each time just so you can see day over day what is up or down, what's elevated. Andrew Perpetua's list, it's about 3 to 1, maybe a little bit less than 3 to 1 Russian to Ukrainian losses day over day. Andrew Perpetua talked about how today was the most insane day of going through video. I did 190 videos myself, and my team did the rest. 190 is normally supposedly a very ridiculously heavy news day, except today was 35% more than that. Wow, and he's got a tough job. And if you think he deserves a tip and you want to send him a tip, you can go to paypal.me/UKR daily update. If you think he deserves it, I think he does a masterful job. I wouldn't want to trade jobs between what I do and what he does. Yeah. Okay. Yesterday, 2 years ago, Russia breached the UN Charter by orchestrating another illegal annexation of Ukraine's sovereign territory, just as it did in Crimea in 2014. So Putin was out talking about how we took care, we haven't forgotten you Russians in the Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia, Oblast. We're here for you, and you're part of Russia. Okay, well, it was an illegal annexation predicated upon the use of force and fake elections. So, okay, now today is day 951. 951 days of battle for the state. For 951 days, this is Zelensky talking now, you have been writing the history on the battlefield. You sacrifice yourselves so that Ukraine does not have to be sacrificed. Both those who are born a warrior and those who became one. Those who changed their lives so our freedom would remain unchanged. Those who had different professions but refused to live under another flag. Those who said to themselves, I have no other choice, for this is my homeland, this is my Ukraine. I will defend it. Defending Ukraine, two words that have united millions of people, our country, our nation. On behalf of all of them, I want to say to you, thank you to each and every one of you. We are proud of all of you. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, this is the Day of the Defenders in Ukraine. There's a level of unity rarely seen anywhere on earth today at 9 a.m. The entirety of Ukraine stopped to honor those that had fallen in defense of the country. Traffic, pedestrians, schools, cafes, all quiet to remember. This is to remember the fallen in Ukraine. Now, let's do a little thought experiment. If you were Russia and you were going to be as terrible as possible as the Ukrainians are remembering their fallen soldiers. Now, wittingly or unwittingly, whether you intended to do this or not, what would you attack today? What military force would you attack? Maybe it wouldn't be a military force. Maybe it would be an apartment building or a bus stop or a grocery store, or maybe threaten a nuclear power plant. Russia's pretty good at this, and they attacked all of them. Look at this. Russia shelled a public transport stop in Kherson with artillery. 6 people killed. Among the victims, 4 men, 2 women. Another woman was injured. Police and medics working at the scene. Attack occurred at 9 a.m., just as the whole of Ukraine was observing a moment of silence to honor the memory of the fallen soldiers. How about that? Russian army dropped 6 aerial bombs. Now, this wasn't at 9 a.m., but 6 aerial bombs on the city of Zaporizhia. The strikes targeted infrastructure and residential areas. As of now, 6 people have been reported injured, 1 killed, according to the national police. So, attacking an apartment building. Good job, Russia. Russia artillery attack near a busy market. Kills 6, injures 6 more. Witnesses say they stepped out. There was a pile of corpses. Another saw a policeman carrying a human hand. Pastries, apples, pools of blood. The first responders rush in. I can't show you the picture. Russian troops attacked a substation and de-energized the power line of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. As a result of the shelling, the station was on the verge of a blackout. Power engineers are working to eliminate the consequences of Russian shelling. So, that's what Russia's doing on this Day of the Defenders. Meanwhile, on the front lines, Russian forces advance near Volodar as both Ukrainians and Russians make gains in Kursk Oblast. The Russians over on one side, the Ukrainians over on another, making different gains. Russians also made tactical advances elsewhere in Donetsk Oblast, northeastern Kharkiv Oblast, and in the Kursk Oblast. I was going to show you this picture. This is just Ukrainian troops on a normal day on the way to work, like going to the front line. Like, you think your commute is bad. Imagine what this is like. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is the British intelligence update. In late September 2024, Ukrainian forces recaptured and cleared the Volchansky chemical plant in Volchansk, Kharkiv Oblast. Okay, the chemical plant acted as a Russian stronghold, enabling tactical operations on the Volga River. Its loss will likely limit the opportunities for Russian ground forces to advance in the Kharkiv Oblast. It's likely that Ukrainian control of the plant will further facilitate counteroffensives in the north of the city to push the RGF back toward Ukraine-Russian border. Vovchansk has been contested since May of 2024. Now, as I was reading this, so the Russians get pushed out, the Ukrainians are largely in control, but it was only in May of 2024 when this offensive against Kharkiv and Volchansk actually happened. And Ukraine was really on the ropes for some time. And this is what allowed this really significant threat of attacking and perhaps doing more than just attacking Kharkiv is what allowed the U.S. to kind of go, you know what, maybe you should have more stuff or more freedom to do things and that sort of thing. Now, they're not all the way there, but that was just in May. It seems like so long ago, but that was just in May. We're in October now when that started, and the early summer was very, very dangerous for Ukraine. And they've come a long way, including the attack in Kursk. Russia has drawn forces away from Volchansk area to support the operations in the Kursk Oblast, where Ukraine has occupied a salient of the Russian territory since August of 2024. This has almost certainly reduced the RGF capabilities in the Volchansk area. So it's been quite a few months. Now, Ukraine drone strikes have disrupted Russian energy infrastructure, particularly oil depots, and destroyed military assets, including many bases where there were munitions, right? I mean, that's what they've been going after, oil depots and munitions, basically. So I thought that was interesting. Like, what was the effect of that? So Anton Goroshenko shows this. Russian military started complaining about shell starvation and attacks on ammunition depots after Ukrainian strikes on Russian warehouses. Here's a Z blogger talking about it here. Guys, I would also like to raise the very important issue of shell starvation in the troops. This is not happening locally, it is now being felt in various directions. And it is gaining an unhealthy trend, again, in terms of all sorts of criminal limits by which you just go fishing, but you don't storm any settlements. I mean, go ahead storming, but without artillery fire, it shouldn't be like that. And factories work every day. Yes, the Ukrainians are destroying warehouses. We all see it, big ones, like in Tikhoretsk. For example, everything was burning and exploding for several days. People were evacuated. And also other warehouses and arsenals that the Ukrainians are destroying. It's all very bad, of course, but the factories work. Where are these munitions going? Why are there not enough of them in the troops? Okay, so now I don't think there's widespread artillery starvation, but it is having somewhat of an effect, and that's a positive thing. Now, I saw this and I thought, that looks interesting. I want to read it, but I'm curious if any of you have. Putin versus the World, Why Russia Has Not Changed During the Last 400 Years. This book is an attempt to explain how the Russian state functions. The book also deals with the main myths that formed the Russian nation, with the main myth being that Russians never lose. The Russian state in its official history does not admit defeats. This is a book for everyone willing to understand the Russians, Putin's logic, and why the Russian state benefits from speaking about the mysterious Russian soul that does not exist. Haven't read it. I hope to read it. I want to read it eventually, but I want to hear if you have read it, what you thought about it. Okay, and just because I love drone on drone warfare, I just think it's fascinating. Here are a few better hits. It's pretty incredible. Look at this. Bam. All right, my friends, last little bit today is the day of the defenders in Ukraine. You are making history, every day bringing victory closer. Let's honor everyone who has gone to eternity for it. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.